What? Yeah.
Oh, no straight person
Hey,
would look
guys.
at Waluigi and wonder that.
I'm
Well, I
sorry.
mean, big nose, big cock.
I always hit the block first, and I always get one of the lowest
hi, guys.
numbers.
I got fucking
Luckily, yeah.
one. so dumb. Ugh.
Yeah.
You know, Zach,
Also,
you know what?
Waluigi's like really tan in this game.
He is. Same with Peach. Or, Daisy, I
He's
mean.
not tan.
Wrong person.
Don't ever say that again. Yeah, wrong princess.
The princess is the wrong princess.
The gimmick of this board is that there's 2 stars, but one of them is a mirage, and you don't know until you get there which one's fake. Just like Tumble just said.
Wait,
Tumblr.
that's so fucking
Didn't we do
dumb.
this one before?
Wait, what?
We did, and it
I
sucks
wasn't-
ass.
There's
What's
a
up, Ted?
fake star?
Yeah, there's 2 stars. One of them is a mirage, and one of them is real. You don't know which is which till you get there. So you have to kind of
Okay.
gamble and guess which star you're gonna go for. There's no way to know.
Wow. So,
Oh great,
I guess-
so I can't golden mushroom technique my way out of this.
no.
I know, right? Well, you could, but you just don't know if you're gonna golden mushroom to the mirage. Welcome to Mario Party 3.
Appa's our guinea pig, because he's gonna go towards the start first.
Nah, you're right.
He'll test it out for us.
Actually, I just went in front of him, so fuck you.
No, you didn't.
Oh.
I'm not done yet.
No, you didn't.
No, I go.
No, you didn't. Fuck.
Alright, here we go.
The other man,
Nice.
the other man and you were talking about fertillos. I don't know if you know what fertillos are.
Alright, what you got?
I do know what that is. When I met Dally, me, him, and Andrew went to one. That was my first time ever going to one.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, he got like an
Yeah.
Italian beef sandwich, and I got
Ooh,
like
that's what I'm having right now. Or like,
Yeah, oh,
a
dude, it-
croissant.
Wait, where
Ooh,
at?
Okay.
The croissant.
Where at?
Release.
Some rest like
It's like a.
I don't
it's
know.
like a dry roll.
I know
place.
that there's like multiple of them. But
Yeah.
yeah, they've got like hot dogs and beef sandwiches and shit.
I know it's like it's only like a really regional thing. I know there's like they're only like around me. And,
Knowing me, I'd buy the
Yeah.
hot dog.
which is really funny how
No,
many people
well-
are apparently in the same area. It's funny.
Honestly, Epicman, it was the greatest hot dog I ever had in my
Really?
life, so I wouldn't even blame you.
Wow.
Oh yeah, no, like, and I don't even really like hot dogs. Like, I've gone to baseball games and had them, and they're just okay, but like, that was like the best hot dog of my life. And can you hit A?
Sorry, fuck.
Daisy rocks? No, dude, don't ever say that around me.
I'm sorry.
can get
I'm
hit.
sorry for bringing that into.
Daisy can
The
get hit
chat.
rock. Wait, what'd you bring in? Oh yeah, yeah, as you should be.
That's
What
my
does-
friend.
What
I'm
does
sorry.
plunder chest do?
I don't know.
does
You
this do?
want to find out?
It it gives you a big chest.
Okay, I'll buy it.
I never had the chocolate shake,
You should
but
go
I know
right.
that it has 3 days worth of calories in one shake.
Big man, are you drinking out of the salad?
I'll try it if I ever go there again. I don't know where the
Oh, yeah.
closest one is.
I have a mini fridge right here, so I can just grab
I
whatever
have
I
a
want.
mini fridge. I don't use it, but I should. I really should be using my Xbox
This
mini
one-
fridge more.
Oh, this one sucks.
It does suck. You need to spam A as fast as possible, but then
Oh, I
hit
hate this
either
one.
B or Z to dive beneath the mines.
Alright, let's
All
do
right.
this.
Here we
I'm
go.
I think that's
I'm
funny,
locked
though,
Locked
in.
in.
that you're
Z
just-
I'm
is
not-
the
you're
ZL
I'm
on the Switch,
You should be
right?
locked
I'm not
up.
getting banned. I'm not getting banned today. I'm
I'm getting banned today.
Probably will for other reasons.
Oh,
You should have gotten banned last fucking week.
I'm not gonna lie, we all should have got banned fucking last.
What? Yeah, I probably should
How
have
are
gotten
you so
banned.
good?
Because I'm
Usually
fucking
I'd be
Mario
into this, but I'm
professional.
not.
That's insane.
But yeah, no,
I should have sucked. What?
Zach
I
knows
thought
what
you
I'm talking
comfortable.
about. Okay. Zach, you know what you saw my Xbox mini fridge, didn't you?
I did see your Xbox mini fridge.
Yeah, I don't use it, but
It's a cool collector's item.
I mean, I got it for like
Oh, yeah.
$100. like when it was like Target only, which is hilarious.
Pretty cool.
How come you don't use it?
It's
though?
Halloween.
Because my
much power?
fridge, no, because one, it actually leaks on the ground, and two,
Nice.
it's
Fucking
small, and three
Rainbow
is
Kappa, you should go right.
no, and three is the
Oh
kitchen.
no, dude, you just got sucked up.
No.
Yeah, I know. Kitchen.
I
and
told
the-
you should have gone right, but you
Shut
didn't listen to me.
up. And three is the kitchen. You know, Zach, is literally down the hall.
This is
I'm not
blatant
that
sexism.
lazy. I'm not that lazy. And also not.
And
Uh,
get Rainbow Kappa said that you're a lazy slob, Epicman, because if you use a mini
No. We both have a mini fridge. It's just one of us uses ours more than the
I mean,
other.
If you
Yeah.
guys saw my desk right now, you would fucking say that it's really bad.
Yeah, it's probably got like a line of coke
I don't
on
think
it.
it's that
Oh,
bad.
yeah.
What the
I don't think
fuck?
it's that bad. Hold on.
It reminds
Yeah, I
me of
don't-
that Christmas movie where the guy was doing the line of coke off the table.
That reminds me of my uncle.
At least I don't sleep
Yeah,
in my room.
he's doing it in real life.
He is.
Okay, Zach.
I guess I'll go for the Bowser phone.
Yeah, the Bowser call booty call phone.
That's
I was gonna donate.
Which, by the way,
but I have no
I'm not
money
friends
anymore.
with that person anymore.
That's
That
what you
was
said, yeah. Thank God, right?
yeah.
If I ever had a friend that wanted to have sex with Bowser, we wouldn't be friends anymore.
Huh?
Although I do watch a streamer who wants to have sex with
People are
Bowser.
actually like
The fuck?
sexually attracted to Bowser though. Like it's a real
Yes,
thing.
I know. Quit the fucking
The
guy.
fuck are you guys talking about?
I don't get why. Is it because like he's a reptilian? Like why?
Are you guys talking about Bowser or Bowser? That's I need to
No, like
Bowser.
Bowser, like actual Bowser.
Yeah,
fuck?
actual Bowser. I mean, I kind of get. He has like a goatee, doesn't he? I
I
don't know.
mean, what the fuck? What are you talking about? How many hours of Mario games have you watched me play? And you ask if Bowser has a fucking goatee?
I mean, maybe
Oh, shit.
maybe if you're a girl, but like I don't
No,
I
I
don't
mean, I
know.
Into the circle.
I meant like a mohawk or whatever. I
Oh,
don't
he
know.
doesn't
hey
have
Zach,
either.
welcome to the circle.
He looks edgy.
Yeah, we're all
bro.
in the fucking purple circle now.
He looks like L.
Purple man.
Hurts my tooth.
You know who else is actually?
What?
Did you guys?
What the hell is that in your mouth? What the fuck is this?
Wait, what the
It's
fuck?
yellow guy.
What the
Oh my-
It's
hell?
Edwin. You can't put the pieces together.
No. Wait, I'm too good, bro. Oh my god, I'm the ultimate lucky student.
Yeah, you
Where are you?
Yeah, well, last
My-
time I remember you
Dude,
didn't get
let's
2 stars on stream
go.
twice in a row.
What would
I'm not
actually
getting-
ultimate be?
Alternate epic.
Ultimate autist.
My name is Nick.
Yeah, you're
I
right.
mean, I mean,
Yellow guy.
Oh,
guys,
Yellow
I think,
Grab
I think
Carrie's
wait, he's the
booty
mimic.
here.
Oh shit!
We've got this, Rainbow Cap. It's you and me on a team.
I had to be good.
Epic Man, I do not believe in you, so please use all of your brain
Well,
power.
what's up? How do you do this game, guys?
Wait, I don't know how to play.
Yeah, we
I'm
don't
gonna
know.
throw you an
Hold
apple.
hold A to grab the cherry and then throw it at me.
So catch it. Catch it.
You missed.
I didn't
don't
miss,
know,
you
like,
didn't
that's
throw
not
it
what you're doing.
correctly.
You're not throwing it.
I'm throwing it.
How do I throw it? How do I?
No, you have to hold it down.
Oh
Put it
no!
in
It's
the bag.
no, it's that one mini game in Jamboree. You have to rope it. Oh no!
Yeah.
Epic Man, that's on you.
Oh, we got the rhythm. Now we got the rhythm, Rainbow Cap, but we're good.
I
I
hate,
am
I hate how
holding
the
A.
smaller ones literally have to.
Dude,
Throw
it's
better.
so hard to aim.
We were so good.
I mean, we're at least we're good. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Wow.
Wow. Shin
Help.
said the real one. You're the ultimate alcohol.
No, no, that's a sad ultimate, dude.
What was
I'm gonna
Shan's?
die in like
He's the
5
ultimate closeted
years.
gay.
Yeah.
Alcoholic.
Oh.
I mean, doesn't that
Oh.
make him unable to be alcoholic then? Like, he doesn't actually get, drugged up from it?
I don't know.
I don't know.
So,
Epic Man,
Zach, quick
I
question.
think-
What is the purple world?
The
Purple,
4-month
bro.
sub. I don't even know who you are, but they.
Rave. Whoa.
I don't know
You
who
have,
the
like-
hell you are.
Zach, you have like a
Last year-
small community of lurkers. It's
The
like,
lurker underground.
Every streamer has that though. Majority of majority of people's viewers are lurkers.
yeah.
Hey Zach, what is
me.
the
Hi,
purple
guys.
world and why are we here?
It's just the desert at nighttime. It's
mimic?
It's
It's
sand
just-
tastes like grape.
It's just desert. It's just the desert
Oh,
of
okay,
87.
I know you. It's Captain Cosmo. He changed his name. That's not my.
Oh.
If someone changes their name, I'm not gonna know who the hell you are. Now I know.
The
Okay.
lurker.
I mean, a lot of my viewers are lurkers. More than
Are you the
that.
ultimate
The
lurker?
dude.
Ultimate.
Ultimate Cuckalord?
Zach, have you
No,
started?
that-
Have you started V3 yet?
What's up?
We
Sorry.
started. Have you started V3 yet?
No,
No, he's
I'm
still playing through 1.
I know. I was playing Danganronpa 1 last night, and I saw Taters go online with Animal Crossing. I was like, I really hope she doesn't look at what game I'm playing. 'cause
I know
I'll
you
be
started.
like-
I know you started V3 on the
I literally-
on PS.
I literally thought that
PlayStation.
last night.
Oh no,
Like,
it's
all
good.
What's also funny is that the
Guys,
reason I
Zach-
saw it, I did.
You know what
Zach,
I'm
I
gonna
The
keep
reason
rewatching. I keep
I'm trying
rewatching
to
the
listen to
V3
Taters,
stream.
buddy. What's up?
The reason I saw it was because I was going into like my Animal Crossing
Yeah.
app on my phone, and I
Oh.
had to do that, and I was like, oh, Zach's online. I wonder what he's doing. Oh, he's playing Danganronpa.
I want to rewatch your
Yeah.
first 2 games, honestly.
Yeah, watch the first VOD.
Yeah.
Holy shit. Alright, we gotta just dodge the bullets.
Well,
Holy shit!
I didn't do easy.
Luigi wins by
Yeah, I was
losing.
I was trying to do that again.
This minigame lasts too long. It's like 35 seconds. That's way too long to try to survive.
Yeah. Run! Run! Run!
So we have a better option. So if one of us dies, the other one will live. So we're not-
Follow
me! Set me free!
God damn it!
You're golden,
It's
bro.
so-
You're golden, bro.
Golden! Guys,
That sounds
God
like a
damn it.
skill issue. You shouldn't have been drinking.
sounds like an unskill issue.
Fuck my nut.
Bro doesn't have a skill to be issued.
Golden Rainbow Cap is an ultimate B.
Ultimate deep fryer.
Oh, that's what it mean. That was that meant to be.
What do you
No,
what
you-
is there, like?
I don't know.
Ultimate
Okay.
Wii music player, I guess.
You would be the ultimate Luigi main.
Wow.
Wow.
You play Luigi in every game.
I mean, I played every Luigi game in the community, yes. Technically.
All right, you better hope that this big fat roll takes you to the right star, buddy. If you
I
find
don't even
the
know. I don't
garage-
even know where the star is.
19. Yeah, you're going
Where-
backwards. I'm
Where
pretty
am I
sure.
supposed to be going? Oh, down there.
You don't have a gate key.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
was just gonna say.
No!
But
Yeah,
guess who picked up a skeleton key on their way through?
That might not be the right star. We don't know yet.
No, wait. Oh, crap. I have to go
It
around.
could be. You never know.
Crap, I have to go around. I could.
You never know.
Oh shit, he's got the magic lamp.
I got the drugs, kid.
All right, good luck
same.
getting the stars to actually get the coins to get the star.
If you go through the cactus path, you have to time the A button to jump over him, or else you lose. All right, good luck. Focus. Wow, you
Oh.
did it. That's actually- that's a lot trickier than
It looks harder, yeah.
That's crazy. Good job.
And honestly, it looks way harder than actually it is. Let's be honest.
I'm hard.
Of
We
course-
don't need to know that.
Of course you are. Epicman.
You
Of
proud?
course
You
are.
proud of that?
When aren't
My
you?
jaw
That's
hurts
the
now.
real
You guys-
question.
You guys made my jaw hurt.
When aren't you are?
I'm sorry, bro.
You're good. It looks like you
Got
can
it.
turn right there, and then it just like says, nope, you gotta turn left, boy. You gotta turn left.
Yeah, it doesn't let you go the other way for some reason. I like how all four of us are going for this star, hoping that this is the real one.
I'm just following you guys.
I'm doing the guinea pig.
Do you open it? Okay, I open it. I guess. I guess I open it.
Oh, hi, Boo.
This is also the only Mario Party I think that.
Are you really gonna? Are you really gonna be
Zach?
that way? Are you really gonna
Zach.
be that?
Zach, I'm sorry, but you have the most coins.
No, but wait.
Yes.
Here, I have a rebuttal. Like a Danganronpa.
All right, what's your rebuttal?
No. Shut up.
I
Epicman
know
is
what you
technically
do.
in first
No.
place.
I want to hear his rebuttal. Everybody
Yeah,
listen.
It's like I do have more coins, but Epicman is a star. Okay.
Okay.
Nice rebuttal. Too bad I don't
Yeah,
care.
If he gets a second star, that's gonna be on you.
Nice argument, but no.
Oh. I'm not getting banned tonight. That's all I know.
Let's go.
Nice argument, but take that. It's like this is the truth. And then
Nice argument.
Danganronpa-
Unfortunately, I don't care.
Danganronpa
I forgot
logic.
to add everybody in the Twitch title. Maybe I should do that.
You just instead of Luger, put me in Epicman. But like,
Well, just put
Wow.
Kappa. Just put Kappa, because he's the only one that screams, really.
Bro,
Yeah.
bro, I you. At least I respect it. Don't disrespect. Don't disrespect the title,
What?
bro.
Yeah,
I-
man, don't
what the
disrespect him, you piece of shit.
Oh, is this the one where you have to count
I
all
don't know.
the
I'm
little
losing. I'm
guys?
losing, guys.
What the fuck?
Guys. I don't know what I'm saying half the time. Oh. Ah.
I got
Oh,
this.
this one, I fucking hate this one.
Guys, I'm messing around. I'm messing around with you guys.
Yeah, it's like too big brain for me.
And they just say, which guy was on the right?
Yeah.
Wait, true. Alright, lock in.
What was?
I don't remember. I think it was right. I think it was. I mean,
If you actually don't remember, you're fucked. Your brain is so
Oh,
cooked.
I hope we're.
was it Boo? Oh,
if
thank
it's
God.
not Boo, we're all fucked.
I copied all you guys.
Wow.
I
The
mean,
fact that
that's-
you didn't know that.
Dude has no brain.
No, it's a no-brainer, guys.
Wow. Koopa,
Thanks,
Goomba,
guys.
oh, there's 5 of them.
Wait, well, it was Boo, Koopa,
No, no, you
Koopa,
gotta
who?
Shut up, Epic Man. Can't hear you.
It was Boo,
La, 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 la,
Koopa, Koopa, Boo, Koopa.
Fifth from the right. I don't know what that means.
I hope. Wait,
Oh,
what's
no.
up?
We all
guess
guessed differently.
like shit almost.
Oh!
I genuinely didn't know what.
I thought there was a
fifth from the
Koopa
right
at the
one.
end instead of a Boo.
I think
Fifth from the
I
right.
would have.
Fifth from
I
the
hate
right means-
that.
Fifth from the right means you start from the right and count to 5.
No, I couldn't tell left or
I know-
right.
Okay, thank you, Zach, for saying that
No
right
problem.
over Rainbow Kappa.
Sorry,
Well, I was gonna explain. I'm the one that actually won.
bro. That hurts.
Epic Man got the way wrong.
Well, I don't have enough points. So,
Oh shit!
if this is the real star, I'm gonna fuck regardless.
crazy.
84
Tier 1.
months, dude. That's longer than most of my viewers have been alive.
Item name.
That's like 7 years or 8 years. I don't even fucking know.
It's not
84
6
months
years.
is a lot of months.
I think
Not
it's.
gonna lie.
I think it's 8 years.
That's 84 months that I can count on my fingers.
Wow.
Yeah.
All right, Rainbow Kappa. Good luck, buddy. Get that item.
I'm probably not gonna get an item.
Or you dip.
Anytime I
Rainbow
see this, it reminds me of when Epic Man's like, "Hey Zach, do the skip, do the skip."
What do you
Literally.
mean?
What?
Oh, wait.
In Mario 64.
How do
Yeah.
I do this?
Yeah,
how
the
do I
board
grab
one.
button?
Like that.
Woo!
I was
It
hoping you
always
would have
takes my
beaten the
anxiety
Mario baby child.
down the hole goes. I hate that.
I always get scared that Bowser Jr. is gonna happen, even though I know it shouldn't happen.
Remember, I told Epic Man to get Bowser Jr. because it was the best item, and then he did.
And then it happened.
No!
And then that happened. And then Bowser happened. Oh,
Yeah, did
hi
anyone wanna show me
Bowser.
where Bowser he is? Because I don't see it.
I was hoping to see you.
I miss Fat Bowser. He got skinny when the GameCube came out.
Yeah, you're right. More slim.
He was
He's
playing with
poison.
Nintendo power.
Chicka Slim Shady.
Mom spaghetti.
This is a real restaurant.
And I love it.
Mom spaghetti?
But on the surface, he looks
Isn't it a
calm
real
and ready.
restaurant in Fortnite?
To drop bombs.
But he keeps on forgetting what he wrote down. The whole crowd goes so loud.
The Mimic. Wait, wrong song. Wrong song, guys. Couldn't put the pieces together.
Should you start streaming?
This better be the real star.
You're asking the... I'm not asking.
Zelda man, if you want to stream because
It was a
you want
mirage.
to.
Zelda
you-
man, you should not stream.
Zelda man, if you're streaming just for yourself, yes. If you're wanting other people to watch,
Akio, I'm sorry.
I wouldn't. But that's not because you shouldn't stream. It's because I
I
know
love
that sets you up for failure.
the
I'll tell you.
negativity.
The negativity.
The negativities.
Here's the thing, Zelda man. You know what? I'm gonna go against the grain. I say you should stream. You should start with the 48-hour marathon.
No, Zach, I'm trying to be sane here and tell him if he
What
wants
the
to
fuck
stream,
is this?
if he wants to stream, he should stream. But
I agree.
I don't think he
Yeah.
should expect anything from it. He should stream because he wants to, not because he's gonna be ninja.
Ninja.
Whoever you want to put in that. Whoever you want.
Doctor
Doctor
Disrespect.
You know they're so fucking funny, dude. I'm glad.
All right, I'm about to lose myself in the music the moment. You better
always
own
have,
it.
you always have
Hey.
media share for that man.
No.
That is actually a lot harder than it looks.
Hey,
It
you
is.
know, that generally is my advice. Because
I actually think that
half
helps
the
you.
time people don't watch me, and I don't want to stream it because I want to. No.
Yes.
It's stream.
Aw.
I have autism.
Hell yeah,
Zach.
dude.
Yo.
Zach, you should show my face cam, bro. Come on.
Why? 10
Just
bucks.
do it, bro.
I like
I
I-
pay
the
10 bucks.
I don't have 10
face
bucks.
reveal.
So you don't have 10
resub,
bucks,
bro.
but you have
Come
enough.
on.
But you have enough money to buy alcohol and weed to fucking inebriate
Oh,
yourself for the
Taylor's a good
stream.
boy. Taylor's a
Yo. Come on. If you put me on stream, you'll gain 10 more viewers.
good
I mean,
bullshit.
We'll
Can you-
lose
can you-
10 more viewers.
Yeah.
No.
Can you put my face in the camera instead of Epicman's?
No.
Alright, I understand. Thanks for your time.
Wait, what the fuck? I have a bell?
Okay, it's
Are these-
because last time it was
It's a
making
boo bell. Do you not know what a boo bell is, Epic Man?
A boo bell.
No.
A boo what?
You,
A boo bell.
Epic Man doesn't know what a boo bell is.
No,
Booba?
a boo.
Booba.
Alright,
9/11 happens.
We need to get to the top of the mountain
Oh,
and
Because,
9/11 was bad.
oh wait, what was that now?
Can you jump?
No, you can just run.
Get out of my way, Tears. Yeah. See you
We're all
later.
together, dumb fuck. We're supposed to be working together.
Oh, I'm supposed to be running up this thing.
If even one of us makes it up, we all win. So we should be helping each other.
Oh, do you hog the corner? Okay, I'm just gonna do that. Fuck.
That doesn't fucking work, brother. No! Ah! I'm the MVP! No!
Go, Mario!
Get up there, Mario!
No!
Yes!
He's back! Stop being good!
You guys are welcome. want
Yeah,
to-
I am unwelcoming that welcome.
Yeah, well, not except for Rainbow Cap, I screwed him over.
Yeah, it was really good too, dude. He kept like,
He
he
looks so
actually.
sad. He's so
I'm
depressed.
depressed. Yeah, I'm depressed now.
Holy fuck, dude. Somebody, like, we call suicide watch.
I can't even get to the beaches. Oh.
Mamma mia!
That's Mario.
Switch that with Luigi's and then we're solid.
Mamma mia! I totally love being Luigi.
I'm trying to be Luigi, even though Mario. Wait.
Oh wow, thank you, Akio, for your totally unbiased vote. I will definitely win this game now.
They should have been brilliant. We should have done a prediction, I'd say.
Oh yeah, the prediction.
Take it.
Will Zach win or lose?
Will the game will end?
I'm still surprised that Zach doesn't do the 4-vote thing, because like it could just be like, who do you think is gonna win?
That I can't do that with channel points. I can only do that for a poll, unfortunately.
Oh.
I've
Channel
seen people do like multiple ones with channel points.
I can try.
Can you do more than
I
two?
don't. Okay.
Yeah, you can do predictions with more than 2 people. At least I think I know people do it with Jamboree.
Jamboree.
Jamboree, yeah. Like a
So what is the
Action
stretch?
time.
I think it's the fuck up on purpose. No, why didn't it send me that way?
Oh.
Fuck, it was supposed to send me that way. Whatever, I don't give a shit.
You got stuck by.
It's cause you hit it in the direction that you messed it up in.
It's alright. I've got the magic lamp. It's not a big issue. And now it's chance time, so I can
Yeah,
steal
man.
Oh.
Chance time.
Fuck.
Do what you
No.
want. Chance time.
Chance time.
Oh no.
Welcome to the chance time, motherfucker.
Chance time.
You look so scary. I don't know. I don't like the way Toad's head's really big in this game.
Toad is ominous.
Alright, I'm.
I have a massive brain in here.
Yeah. All right, now what do I get?
Oh no.
Star.
Not the
Fuck.
Fuck.
Man, Cole is cringe.
If
If I'm
man,
Epic
pay the
Man,
fuck up.
Never mind, it's no longer cringe.
It's epic, man.
it's all the money he had.
You just robbed.
Hey, Epic Man,
You robbed him of all he had.
$10. Zach gets the $10.
Everyone, check your DMs.
I'm looking at my DMs right now.
He's playing in those DMs.
I don't even know what this is. I'm sorry.
You get to cosplay as Bowser, and then anybody that you pass up, they give you 20 bucks.
Guys, I'm Bowser. Give me $20.
Holy shit. Bowser roleplay?
Oh my god. Bowser?
Holy shit, Bowser's in your area?
Holy Sigma.
I don't see any in my DMs.
I'm about to plunder some booty.
My ultimate is, the other man says my ultimate is rolling a big D20 and it crushes everything.
Oh, no.
I would take away his boo belt because he can easily. Okay. Yeah, I mean that too.
Luigi's item. Wait, what?
I took your.
Bro just took my item. No.
She just robbed you.
What is this? Capitalism?
Oh, I gotta
Yeah,
pay
well-
5 coins into the bank.
Oh.
Rainbow Kappa, check your DM.
I saw it. I saw the.
No, I don't want the
said it.
star,
I
actually.
said it. I saw my DMs.
I was just kidding. I just like to say that.
No, the other man said it. That's
Because
why.
last week, everybody said it about 500 times.
Zach, check your DMs. There's nothing in it.
I'm not checking any of them.
So, either
Zach, do
the
not
star's
check your
in the
DMs.
same
How about
mirage
that?
spot, or
Yeah, we'll see. Oh, now you get sucked up by the grape.
Well,
no, I don't want to get sucked off.
By the grape? Actually, you do! Because look, it takes you by what could be the star.
But I like purple.
You like purple? Who's coughing?
Purple
in the...
better color.
3,
He
2,
said
1.
you were too poor to rob,
Literally. Alright, it's me
and
and
now I'm
Rainbow
stuck
Kappa.
with this bozo.
Alright, we
What
can do
the
this,
fuck?
Rainbow Kappa.
Oh,
We
oh,
can eat pizza.
Epic Man, I've never said this before in my entire life. Smoke as
No, wait,
much
what?
weed as possible. Get the munchies.
Alright, just as fast as possible. We got this, Rainbow Kappa. You and me. We got this.
Taylor's, you're a vor fetish fucking expert. We got this.
Wow.
Vor the cake. Vor it. Oh. I'm
Dude,
pressing
I got
A
nothing.
so
This is a
hard.
furry. Just a furry.
Dude, I'm pressing A so hard. I'm lagging.
Shut up, Epic Man. Your friend donated. He's gonna say a very heartfelt message in the chat.
He donated for me. Now you gotta put my webcam on.
Yeah, he's fucking $7 short.
Epic Man, you take the top, we'll take the bottom.
Here we go. I think we won.
Hey,
We didn't.
Let's go!
No!
Epic
God.
Man, you're this. I know you're probably used to hearing this, but you're a fucking disappointment.
Damn. Hold on. Wait. I couldn't read what the message said, so whoever donated
What?
let's see what the message said. It said something about Tori big fat ass or something. I gotta read this.
Oh,
Epic Man wanted to ask you, but he wants an invite to the Undertale Orgy 2025. He wants all the tutorial cosplayers to himself.
What?
Wow.
no, that's not true because he's gay.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, he would want the Asgore cosplay.
The
What
big
the
dilf.
fuck? Well, who donated that? Oh, Scooty. What the fuck?
Now I have to listen
I
to that
love how-
fucking Undertale parody so loud in my ear, I can't hear. Shin is so fucking mentally fucked up now after all these streams that she like looks forward to the bad music.
Yo, Zach, you're riding a man? That's kind of gay.
Not if you stand on your with shoes on. Hey, that was actually the right star. You took me to the right one.
So
Take the star.
it gave it the same mirage spot.
It was. That's pretty funny. Now we all have a star. Wait, does Rainbow Cap have a star?
Rainbow Kappa does not have a star.
Oh, not yet. And this one again. Why is it always in this location? What the fuck?
The star just wants to be there. It's manifesting it.
Uh-oh. Oh shit, Rainbow Kappa, if you do the cactus jump, you'll be right there. Alright. I forgot that didn't even count as my turn.
Wait, how have I been muted?
I would say for the past 2 minutes. I didn't hear you talk
Okay.
for 2 minutes.
Well, I don't think that's how it works. Also, Athio, I see the teal emote.
What the fuck is that?
Yeah.
Nice.
I thought he was jacking off or something.
I mean, I mean,
How come that emote's allowed, but my Ashley
Okay,
Grace got fucking
I don't think
permabase?
he's actually, I don't think he's, doing what you think he's doing.
He's a gooner?
No, he's
All right.
Gooner.
50-50 shot. Here we go.
All right, let's go. Actually, no. If you use the genie, he takes you to the right one every time.
He's
Oh.
God in this game.
So you're lucky. Is this the guy that microwaved his PC? Yeah, that's me.
Hi guys. Epicman, Epicman. Does he know? Does he know? Or is this your
We
old?
should have
It's like the
talked about
third-
that on. We should have talked about that on the podcast.
No, we probably.
What? No,
No,
it's be a good story.
dude, it's
Yeah,
a
literally,
good story. But if he did it, I might
Oh.
as well just do it. On
I
the
maybe
stream.
should have checked
I'll
my
just,
coins
like,
before I did that.
If you bring another computer and another mic, I'll do it. I'll do it.
You'll,
I'll do
you'll,
it.
you'll fucking reenact it? No way.
Wait, you didn't have the money. You didn't have the money.
Listen.
No.
Listen.
Okay, I can't even feel sorry for you because you watched all of us do it already.
No, it'd be
You're
really
funny
funny. It'd be a
boy.
really funny video though. I'll be honest. I would do it if
Yeah,
Zach had
Such a
everything
dumbass.
for it.
I'm such a dumbass.
We just
I'm gonna
go to the
microwave my
backyard. Go in the backyard. Stuff a body or some electronic into a microwave. let
Listen,
burn.
it was a tactical play, I swear.
Oh, let's
If
go.
you put your Switch OLED in the oven, it turns into a Switch 2.
That's not stream that. No,
I heard that
we
if you
should
put
not
your
stream
Switch
that.
light
We
in the
should not stream
microwave,
that.
it actually turns into a Switch OLED. So if you combine those two,
Guys, want a 4K Switch? Put your Switch in a toaster.
10 whole. Nobody's got it. All of us have single-digit coin count.
We got 18 coins that's old enough to do stuff.
because we're too busy getting stars.
Yeah,
Yeah,
we're
we're
too busy
grinding.
grinding out.
Guys,
I just hear someone's talking about Papyrus's sexy, like, shirtless pictures in my ear.
I do
So
like
sick
how
of hearing
Scooty literally every Christmas Scooty put.
That's
is-
one thing. I'm
wait,
glad
is
I
this
don't have to
guy
hear
who
the
microwaved
music
computer?
when I'm on
Like it's
stream.
some inside joke.
Alright. Whenever the card that matches the one in the middle shows up, you hit A immediately.
Press A.
I almost fell for that asshole.
And it's not the first time. Do it now.
Dude!
No! I didn't think it was. I didn't think of the real one.
Bro was too busy trying to convince us to hit the button that he forgot to hit the button.
I didn't think it was the right one.
Flower ain't getting any redder.
I thought there was more in between it. Not gonna lie, like that.
Why
that
did I
was-
get? I got 0. I got 0
got-
coins.
I got
And
the pin
Luigi
coin.
got one.
I got the
Luigi
pin
got
coin.
one.
Got my coin, but that's funny as
This
That's
is
shit.
so
favoritism at this point.
stupid.
This is favoritism.
Game of all time. Who's the one that's the hang glider? All right, pretty much Rainbow Kappa wins because whoever has the hang glider wins and everybody else suffers.
Wait, I think I actually pressed.
We got
practice.
this. We got this. We got this.
We just have
Lock
to hit the
in.
button.
Tater's
Wait, what
lock
button
in.
do I do?
Lock in.
Hit A, B as fast as you can. Fast,
Yes.
faster, faster,
Go
faster,
on,
faster,
go.
faster.
Oh!
Faster you can, faster, faster, faster.
Go.
Camp counselor. What are you doing? That's not going fast at all.
I'm trying.
A, B, A, B, A, B, A, B, A, B. It doesn't matter, like I said, this is all pointless because Rainbow Kappa auto wins. Whoever has the hang glider auto, because this minigame sucks. Whatever this fucking shit is, A, B, down, B, up, A, down, this shit doesn't fucking work right.
We're kind of doing.
We might have a
good.
chance if Rainbow Kappa gets hit too many times.
Yeah, he's
Yeah.
like getting hit so many times.
I don't know how to play this.
Whoever has, what do you mean you know how to play? You fucking dodge it. Look at my shit. It's way harder.
You have the easiest job, Rainbow Kappa.
I'll
You
be
just
honest, this is
move.
harder, but like, I've been streaming.
We will be the first people in history.
Spam A, you fucking bastards!
To actually win this, will be the first people in history to win the ridiculous.
And I'm
game.
just
I
not that
can't
bad.
spam A so fucking fast. I
I'm
can't.
hitting it so hard. What the fuck?
You don't need to hit it hard. Hit
It's
it
so
fast.
hard. Oh my god.
Yeah, like Tater said, it's not about hitting it hard, it's about hitting it fast, dumbass. You can hit the A button with the fucking strength
You're
of God.
offline,
It doesn't
Zach.
matter. People do it fast.
You're
Also,
streaming.
my
Oh my
screen,
Yeah,
my
it's all.
screen crashed, yeah.
Oh, I didn't
Oh,
even
great.
realize. Oh. Alright, well, I'm gonna go pee while we fix the stream.
Alright. Should I continue or should I
I'm
just
already
wait?
back. It was
Oh shit, okay.
Oh, we're already back.
We're already back.
it was like 3 seconds offline.
Go, go.
Oh,
Taters!
hey, we're in the same space now.
Taters!
Tater Raiders.
What's wrong? I'm just trying to help you, man.
And then you jinxed it. You jinxed it.
I don't believe in jinx. I'm the ultimate lucky student.
You're the ultimate jinx student. That's
Jinx
what you are.
from Arcane.
The ultimate kinky
Ew.
student.
I know, Epicman. No. Who would be the ultimate kinkiest student?
No, I don't have enough money. Fuck you
I
guys.
think who need to find
You know, I would feel bad for you, but you kind of brought this upon yourself, Zach.
How?
You shouldn't have been walking in the direction that the star was in, you know?
Well, if we would have won the ridiculous relay, I would have had enough money for it. So,
Nah,
fuck
but
you.
you wouldn't. But you didn't. Actually, you did.
Oh wait, I have a perfect idea.
Okay.
Oh, hell no.
Well, I gotta check my settings.
Well,
I really wish I knew.
you're fucked.
I'm gonna
You're fucked.
tonight. I'm gonna uninstall OBS and reinstall it because this fucking crashing shit ain't it.
Zach.
What's up?
$20.
Well-
$20.
I don't have $20, so you can only take 16.
And now the
And I
Koopa's
gotta
gonna
pay
give you
5.
5. Koopa is like the
Oh, he took
arrows. You
5.
can't defeat him. Item minigame.
I've never actually gotten an item minigame throughout the entirety of these streams. This is my
That is
first.
actually funny as shit.
That's insane.
All right, good luck. This is baseball. See how
Batter,
good you are at
hey,
baseball.
I actually have the time to read the controls.
Hey, this is like Leon Kuwata, who killed Sayaka Mizuno.
Whoa, dude!
Whoa!
I was literally playing that trial last night, and I was like, this is the most obvious
Okay,
shit of all time.
I know.
Toxic said they aren't in stream right now, but just remember when fucking Epicman said that shit? I was just like, Epicman, you fucking idiot!
Yeah. The funny thing is, though, Trial 4 is so good that I don't even remember. I didn't even remember who the killer was. I just remembered, like, all the other stuff was cooler. Alright, good luck. Hit that ball out of the park. Swing, batter, batter. Oh, another Bowser. Oh, wow. What the I've never seen that in my whole life. What the fuck? He just catches it? What the
That-
hell?
Yeah,
This
that's
is
what happens.
sexism. This is actually sexism, racism, homophobia,
All
every
the
single
above
ism.
ism.
It's all the shit that I look for on my dating profile.
Oh. Oh. That's not good.
Shin Puff with the skull is the funniest part about that.
Shin puffism.
Fat phobic.
Oh man. What is Epicman doing? Put the liquor down and he had to take a
Put
piss.
the drugs down. Put the
Put the
drugs
drugs
down.
down.
You got so much to live for. Hold on, let me.
Put the drugs on the ground.
Hold on, let me take a piss. Okay, now
Take a
put the
piss.
drugs down.
That can happen if you swing in the total wrong moment. What? So I don't. A wrong moment? There's a wrong way to do that?
Remember, Chad, it's even harder
That was
if your
lit-
partner is
that was
repulsed
just-
by it.
Utterly horse shit. You hit the
Pretty
ball
much,
and
yeah.
then he caught it and you were just
Remember, chat, it's even hotter if your partner is repulsed by you.
True.
I highly disagree. I've never experienced that and I rebuke
I
that.
haven't, and that's funny.
If someone's repulsed by me, I'm not gonna talk to them. I fucking hate them.
Google, what does repulse mean?
Oh, thank God.
Epic Man, your turn.
Yo,
He's-
sorry boys.
You're good.
Welcome back.
Finally, how many drugs did you take while you were gone? Oh my God,
5.
Epic Man's about to get the
5.
big payout.
Cool.
He was like Elvis, where he
Let's
did like
go.
cocaine on the toilet bowl and then he died.
Well, I was at
Well-
the toilet.
Well,
like,
if
right
he
now,
doesn't come
so-
back, we know what happens.
Messy memory. That's Epic Man's fucking description.
Yeah, that's why he got
Sorry.
picked for this game.
Oh, sorry, but what?
Alright, I know this minigame front to back. Not front to back. What?
I know too much about this game.
Shy Guy Mushroom Hammer.
I don't remember it. Fuck.
You're dumb.
Dude, this is easy.
Yeah, it is easy.
Crap, I didn't remember. I should have took a picture of it.
Well, that's cheating.
Yeah, that's my point.
I'm just gonna copy you guys.
Rainbow Kappa's a cheater.
No. I'm a. What's the other word for cheating? That isn't cheating.
Being loyal.
I'm being Epicman. I don't know. Good.
Who's pausing?
Who did that?
I hit the wrong person. I was acting.
Move out the way!
Get out the way!
I literally,
Fuck,
they
I got
give
away.
you no time to finish this. They give you no
I-
time.
I
Man
put the
dropped down on
thing.
the floor like an
Epic Man
alcoholic.
cheated
That's so
I
stupid.
literally would have had it. I would have had it.
It wasn't for you meddling kids. I got a perfect 10
because to beat me and Epic Man probably just cheating off again. Not gonna lie.
because I got the best memory.
I was too busy
This game
hearing you
sucks.
guys talk about.
Wait, how
Rainbow
did
Cat.
Epic Man? No, Epic Man win that.
He was just copying everybody.
Yeah,
I was, yeah.
I mean, Epic Man, that was pretty base, so it's a bit pretty base.
Yeah, I'm
man.
based.
Pretty
I'm based
base
and
man.
red pilled and I'm Sigma.
O
Ohio.
plus, are you O plus ratioed? Wait, wrong.
Yeah,
Right.
get your brain rot quotes right, Kappa.
Yeah, I will.
On a great shot.
Guys, my mind is.
It's so annoying when another player gets a perfect score on that minigame. Yeah, like when you tie with somebody, because it's like not even your fault. Luckily, I didn't have to worry about that this time.
I'm sorry, but you're gonna have to give 5 coins. Fuck you.
Yeah.
Oh man. Wait,
My
a
turn to-
mini game.
No. Bobbing balloons. Okay.
Bopping hoop boom.
Good luck.
I don't even know what I want. The boo bell, I guess. I'm never gonna get that because it's all the way in the
The
fucking.
boo bell's like the most obscure item in the game. I'm not gonna lie.
Unlock your inner link. You didn't.
It's fine. Dude, it's got too.
Unlock your inner crossbow training. He didn't.
Unlock your inner prostate.
Yeah, literally.
No.
I
Of course,
don't think
I
that. I don't think that's.
already
I don't think that's the right arrow in your bow.
No, she's spitting
Okay.
though.
What does this do?
Yeah,
I keep
Man's
forgetting.
switch places with a random person. It's probably gonna be with me. Yeah. I knew that was gonna
Not
happen.
even. None of it mattered.
That's
None of it
funny.
mattered. That's
Well,
funny.
that has changed the game.
Relevating, guys.
Oh gee, what a fucking decision.
I mean, they could make us punish, and taters can make me punish in the.
Well, Bowser would punish everybody.
Yeah,
but
communism
so-
or not communism? That's the real question.
Communism or war?
Apparently war.
Yo, it's
Pumbaa
battle
is
game. First, let's decide on how many coins will be on the line. this time.
Battle.
30.
I wish it was 0.
Well,
That's
listen.
funny.
Damn. Barely have enough. 'cause there's like that.
We've got 53 coins. Anyways, let's
What?
go.
Anyways,
winning?
let's get this over with.
Let's fucking go.
Locked out.
Oh.
Oh, guys, I need like key amount locked out.
Yeah, so this is one where you whoever gets the key first wins, but there's not enough keys for everybody.
What do you mean?
You pick
Give me the
fucking-
key! How do you pick it up?
I got it first try, baby.
What the fuck?
You pressed the grab button. I don't know.
Oh, we're fucked.
Dude, this game fucking sucks. Like,
Taters! Taters!
Wait, what? Oh, I didn't know we were continuing. I thought that was an Epic Man.
you're fucked.
All I could hear was Epic Man in my ear, like this minigame sucks. Yeah, I fucking
Well,
hate
it
this
does
game,
until you
man.
lost, yeah.
Couldn't understand fucking anything that was going
Dear
on. because all
God,
I could
game,
hear
why
was
did you
Epic
give
Man in my
Zach?
goddamn ear.
Why did you give him the coin?
Get griefed. Get fucking griefed.
Get sleep.
I just saw Tater standing there and I seized the opportunity. I was like, go for the key, just go
What is
for
this?
it.
Persona 5?
Yeah, but I was way too
Wait.
focused on fucking Epic Man and his bullshit.
that
You want me to
reminded me
shut
of
up
the-
now? You
that
want me to
reminded me-
shut up now?
It
Show,
reminded
show,
me of Mr. Beast fucking.
Mr. Beast!
Mr. Breast?
Okay.
Mr. KFC.
So
The wrong
that
fat
chest
guys.
steals items, so you could either steal a skeleton's key or a skeleton key. It's your
Okay,
choice.
what does this do? What?
I just explained to you what it did.
No, I wasn't paying attention. Wait,
Oh
say it
my
again.
God.
Say it again.
Okay, everybody shut the fuck up. The chest makes it so that you can steal an item from another player. So you either have the choice of a skeleton key or a skeleton key.
Yeah, there's no skeleton keys that you guys have though. So should I just do this?
That was easy.
Oh, my ears.
What fucking drugs is Epicman on? Because this cannot be weed.
I don't know, Backy heard that.
Bro's is just hallucinating a whole game. He's in Majora's Mask right now. We're in Mario Party.
Literally.
Where's the Mario
21
Party?
fucking points.
Give me your coins, motherfucker. Yes, 21.
21?
He basically got all his money back from that.
Yeah, from losing the battle. He's gonna lose it all now. Probably land in a Bowser space, so.
If I lose it all,
Or he's gonna buy
lose
something with
it
it.
all.
I'm probably the only one that knows what the fuck that
He
song
could have the butt out of item bag with it. Screw us all money.
Wait,
So,
you guys all. Wait, that
why
was a
did you-
skeleton key? Fuck, dude.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, you goddamn idiot. You fucking.
Everybody versus me.
I'm so fucking dumb.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. You have the choice of a skeleton key and a skeleton key.
Coconut cup?
Coconut cock.
It literally is the gist of it all.
It's Epic Man's favorite word. He brings up every Mario Party stream.
A
Can't go to
coconut
stream
what?
without saying it.
Well,
Probably because he is a cuck.
So Epic Man's gay and a cuck. It's like, pick a struggle, buddy. Can't be both.
Zach, come here.
Ow!
Get out of my way, Taters. What the fuck?
Fuck!
Get cracked,
What do you
idiot.
mean? What do you mean? Get out of your way! I just hit him. We won because of me.
Alright.
He
Okay,
just
okay.
got coke.
Meanwhile,
I
here
hear
you
ya.
are, literally talking in the goddamn microphone. This minigame sucks. Everything sucks. Yeah, Taters, don't pay attention to the minigame.
Oh boy.
Calm down, little bro.
Calm down,
Wow.
Lois.
Little bro.
That's insane.
Did a who? I don't think that applies here.
Okay, don't steal. Nah, not for me, not for me.
Hell yeah, bro. Fuck that game.
I mean,
Fuck
you have the most
you.
points. I mean,
Oh, I'm pressing A so hard. I'm about to come.
He can't.
Hard, you
He
need to press
can't.
fast.
He has to press it.
21 again, dude.
21.
Yeah, because you gotta press it
It's-
fast. I don't know if you
hard
realize
button.
this, but it's about rapidly pressing it, not how hard you press the button. I don't think the button even has that.
Like his uncle does to him, and then
Did the,
Yo!
did the N64 even have like button sensitivity?
I probably
No.
did. I mean, you could.
Does
probably find
anything
a way.
have button sensitivity?
yeah,
The analog.
sensitive.
dual shock triggers. 30 fucking coins.
I mean, none of us have 30 coins, but it's a lot of coins. That's a lot of coins.
I'm waiting for this star
Oh.
to be the Mirage.
Well, by losing my
It's
coins,
definitely a
though,
mirage.
we'll have nothing. If it was a mirage, I'm gonna scream
Alright,
Bloody Mary.
we all have piranha plants. Whoever waters theirs the most wins.
How do you water?
You just
You,
stand
wa-
under
you
the rain.
walk under the rain.
Oh.
Yeah. It's easy. I'm watering my shit good.
You guys are all in my way.
That's the point of the minigame, you fucking dingus!
Fucking move!
Get this guy.
Get out of my way, Kappa!
No, I will not.
He said no. I keep tripping over the molds.
Zach, you're gonna win, dude. That's so
I know,
fucking
dude.
annoying.
Shut up.
I know, okay.
Yeah, get out of the rain!
Stupid!
Dude,
You
look how,
definitely
big,
won.
look how big mine is. Here
Oh,
it
you're-
comes.
You have such a fat-
What?
Yeah.
I
It's
got
so
pretty damn
cute.
close though. I got
What?
pretty damn close.
Wait, what? How is mine fucking last place?
Baby plant.
What the fuck?
Because you got a small dick, Epic Man.
Come on, you stole my money! You stole my money! He bugged me! He
Yo,
bugged me!
that was
Oh.
uncalled for.
I
That was
am
uncalled
pissed.
for.
That was uncalled for.
I am pissed. Chat.
No, I got sucked off. I wanted.
Yeah,
to
you
stay-
deserved it. You deserved that for selling all my coins. You deserved it.
Yo, who's making that noise?
Not
That was me.
Thank you, David. Zach, I'm pissed because you stole my coins.
Shit, I won. Blade, you're the one that landed on the battle space.
Yeah, because it's right from the start.
You want it, you better never let it go.
I didn't-
You only get
I
one
didn't
shot. Do
steal
not.
it.
Oh my god.
Goomba stole it and he gave it to me.
A whole 5
Here's
coins.
a message.
I love
Thank
how
you.
there's 15 people watching and nobody has anything to say about this monstrosity of
Alex
stream.
Ito's just taking
Look,
notes.
No, it's too chaotic.
No! Oh
Isn't
my
that every
god.
Saturday?
No, you're right. I'm sorry.
Awful power, please. I'm so good at this. Yeah, no, yeah.
Wait, what the
Oh.
fuck?
Awful Tower is just Mario
Yeah.
64,
No
and I hate
way.
this one. You
I
have to jump.
fucking. Oh my god, I hate this one,
I'm
dude.
I hate this one.
I also
too.
hate this one. I have to lock the fuck in. I'm not gonna be able to talk.
Zach,
Maybe
Zach
just agree
wins.
not to do this minigame.
Get on the platform, you fucking cuck.
Dude, why do you always say that? Why is that your favorite word? I don't understand.
I don't know.
Has that ever happened to
He
you?
has a weird vocabulary.
I've never been cucked.
I mean, I'm not surprised that man is doing that. Not gonna lie.
Whoa.
Not dude. I didn't
What do
say
you mean?
what. I didn't
Okay,
say
I
what
don't know
you're
how
doing.
to.
I said you're doing.
Okay, Zach, how the fuck are you supposed to jump from the blue one to the green one?
You have to wait till it goes down.
I didn't say what you were doing.
Yeah, but he was
man.
he
I
was
just said
on
you
the
were doing
same fucking
something.
he was on the same like timing on as the thing.
Yeah.
I don't know what to tell
Well, I'm sorry.
He's a
Bro.
speed brother.
Well, like, what am I gonna do? What am I supposed to do, chat? Like,
It's a mirage.
Oh, see? See? Rainbow
Fuck.
Kevin, it was never the real score to begin with.
fuck, I
You never-
believed in stupid shit.
never had a chance to begin with.
We literally we established
Bowser.
many a time that that was the mirage because it's the only one that didn't change.
I would have known that.
Alright, here we
Because you
go.
don't pay attention.
Yeah, I don't pay attention.
Look at the real
So-
one though. Oh, he passed it up.
Oh hey, there's the actual star.
He has
Come
no
back.
coins.
It's your lucky day. If you were to get an
Oh,
animal,
you-
what do you want?
Magic lamp.
Uh,
Aren't you a greedy bitch?
shut up! Shut up! I what the? Like I said, he's gonna be on it.
Somebody clip that. Somebody clip that.
Shut
You
up!
greedy son of a bitch.
I told you, you greedy shit. I'm out of here.
Fuck my shit, oh,
You
man.
greedy son of a bitch.
Fuck
I've
my
never
shit,
seen
oh, man. No, Epicman did it before. What are you talking about? Man, I said that one.
He's gotten greedy before?
Yeah, I mean, it's my thumbnail. Not my nuts.
I did your mom before. The stream.
No, Epicman, I don't think you would want to do my mom. I'm just gonna tell you that much.
I got to meet Rainbow Kappa's mom. She's very nice.
Aw.
Very,
Yeah, I don't think you would want to do her because of that.
That's cute, to be honest.
she's very,
What?
she's
What?
very
You think
cool.
Zach that did my mom? Yeah.
Wow.
You made me screw up. You made me fuck up.
Good,
fucking
good. Yeah,
bitch.
that's your fault. That's your fault for thinking that you think of that. Even
Yeah.
hearing it.
I'm sorry.
Everyman was
Yeah,
sitting in the chair in the corner watching.
You're right.
I would like to formally apologize to Rainbow Kappa.
I did not
Yeah.
have sexual relations with my mother. Okay. Okay. Sorry.
Whoa! I didn't say that. I didn't say
I know
that.
you didn't. I know you didn't
What
say
the
it.
fuck?
I don't know.
Epic Man's like, my mom's all to myself.
Mario Party 3, I think, is hurting me more than they probably should. But
Yeah,
Alright,
you're gonna develop mental issues.
haven't we already?
damn.
All right, good luck. Good luck.
I don't know.
Try to get me.
These controls suck. You know that, guys.
Get away, Taters! You're blocking my path. Oh,
Get Zach.
no, get away from me! No! I'm so urgent. Stop!
we're like fishmen, like seaman.
From that one game.
Alright. Why don't you Google that, Epic Man?
No.
We're all in a big pile.
Dude, stop like coming over to me. Zach, go away, bro.
Get away from me, bro.
Why is this minigame so long? 20 seconds is too long. Tater just stood there.
I was gonna let her go, but nope.
Hey, Taters, did you leg out? What the fuck happened?
I think she got
Taters,
Hi guys.
she got abducted.
Yeah, Peter died.
probably.
May Peter's rest in my
Oh,
soul.
Marco said, you know what Marco said in the chat is the funniest.
Lisa,
You were talking about fucking me.
oh god.
Yeah, I really shouldn't be uploading this VOD, but maybe I should.
Twitch removed my ability to make VODs because I have so many VODs now, so I have to delete thousands of
I
hours.
really should. I should probably not upload this VOD, but I probably will make it. Honestly.
There's nothing wrong with the MILF, okay?
I mean, these streams are the most unrated streams on my channel.
More,
but, like,
more for you, Epicman. That's not really my style.
it's kind of fucked up. You're talking about like my mother about that, yeah. And, you know, we got a point. We got a point.
Mario Party.
Mario Party.
Oh
no.
god. It's always those
Mario.
streams.
Yeah, Marco, it is. Like, we always say we're not gonna do much these streams, and then it becomes this. And it becomes.
Tater, is that you that was whispering like a demon?
Haters, are you alive?
Yeah,
Haters.
sorry, I had to go do something. I'm back.
Oh, good.
Oh, okay. You had to like contemplate your life after this fucking stream.
Boy, that's a
I'm
Saturday.
wondering.
That's every Saturday.
A little bit, yeah.
That's true.
The reverse mushroom reverses your sexuality. Oh.
Oh, well, apparently you're doing it now.
So, wait, I'm bisexual. How does it reverse that?
Definitely.
Now you're asexual.
Yo. I mean,
Wait,
I
true.
mean, that does reverse it, I guess.
Wait, Zach, what if you were gay?
What if I was?
Yeah, like,
Well, how did
what,
that
what would
reverse
you?
it?
Who would you like be attracted?
A question
to?
that a
is what I
gay
mean.
person would ask, obviously.
Yeah, literally.
No.
For anybody in the Discord, you would like go out with as a joke.
Guys, let's say I'm gay, but the guy person I'm gay with isn't gay. That's what Epicman is asking.
I blame Acid Rush.
Yeah, because
Acid brush.
Yeah.
Do that, yeah.
Yeah. yeah.
yeah,
Can
same.
you, Kappa, stir the fucking boat?
I am.
Can't
Go-
imagine any timeline. You know how like in Undertale there's like alternate timelines? I don't think in all of the multiverse there's a timeline in which I'm gay. So I'm sorry to Epicman to bring it to you.
Don't jinx it.
Yes. Jinx.
Don't jinx it. There's gonna be a timeline.
Zach, turn around!
Don't jinx it, because
We
we
won, dude. We fucking won.
Yeah.
Okay, because we get to keep the coins that we got.
Is there a timeline where I'm gay, Chad? Because it's not this one.
Rainbow, you're our gay though, because your name. Rainbow
Yeah,
Kappa.
I know.
I
I'm
knew
saying-
Epicman was gonna say that.
My
We
name.
talked about
There's gonna be a timeline where that's
Rainbow
reversed, where
Kappa
my
is
name
literally
isn't
the
gay,
Phi
but then
Kappa
I'm.
emo.
There's gonna be a timeline where I'm just Kappa, where I like stuck with my original name, like doxing
We already
me,
talked about the podcast.
and then but I'm actually gay in that timeline. I'm not gay. My name just.
Have you guys ever played Gay Tale?
Shut
It's-
up. Well, what's that one subreddit that you and Andrew were talking about? The Undertale with the tail.
In all of the underground.
Is that Sans and Papyrus making out? Is that gay tale or is that incest tale?
That's a
That would be
fucking
everything of
stupid
incest
tail.
Tale.
I'm losing, chat. I'm scared. I'm losing my mind.
That
We need
reminds me
that-
of Scared. That reminds me
we
of
need-
Scared Tale.
We need
It might be
Dally
a
in here.
horror tale.
Dally is in. Wow, you got the stars right in front of you guys.
Hi guys.
Oh my
Listen.
god!
Or
Wait,
it
can
could
I
be
get a
Mirage.
star right
That
now?
could be a Mirage though.
Oh, you're right. This could be the real one.
That could be the
Please. Please give me a star. I can get one! Yes!
Oh,
I can-
we've been
You can get one. Guys,
Please,
Come on,
kid, we've been good.
Come on, kid, we
I
can
think
do
they're
it.
not get started.
What would Sans' cum taste like?
I don't think about stuff like that because
I don't think he can come.
But like, think about it.
he can't do that. He's a skeleton. Where's it come from?
Yeah. I'd rather not think of that either. I'll be honest. How do you bones make cum?
Spray cum all over your face, Kappa.
Would it be magic cum?
Magic cum?
Would
It would be like-
And you know, it kind of is fucked up because
No.
it kind of gets fucked up because Zach definitely did ask about one of the questions
Wait,
who I would be for a
don't-
day, and I said
don't
Sans.
ban me.
I said I would be Sans for a day, Epic Man. So how do you think about that?
Well, Rainbow Kappa said if he was Sans for a day, would you have sex with him as Sans?
Yeah, I did not say that, but that's kind of fucked up. Yeah, Dally, we're motherfuckers.
If I was Sans, I'd literally have sex with every Underfell character.
I thought you were saying-
Underfell.
I thought you were gonna say with every underage character, so I was so ready,
No!
I was so
No.
ready to bend. My finger,
Why?
my finger was
It would
hovering
be
above
so-
the ban button.
That would be so fucked up and so
My
close.
finger was hovering above the ban button.
I'm
You
not
have no
Zelda.
idea.
Dude, I'm not Zelda, man. Like, come on.
All right. Well,
Are you sure about that? Are you sure about
No.
that? Dude,
Only man's get removed from the call.
bye.
He's got to take a 10-minute time.
Good,
Until he
good,
calms
good
down.
for him. Good for him. Fuck.
Wop hole. Perfect game to play.
I'd probably be done with this. That's what
All right. Taters versus all of us.
Hopefully Epicman didn't just give up because that's what happened.
Wait, why did Epicman leave call?
He accused a viewer of being attracted to kids, so he had to take a 10-minute timeout.
Yeah.
You can't just say stuff like that on Twitch. If I didn't time out for 10 minutes, I don't know. He'll be back in 10 minutes. It's only a 10-minute
He
timeout.
didn't get permabanned, yeah. Because
He's fine. He'll be back.
commented on something he shouldn't probably say.
This will actually allow him to actually focus on the game for once, so we'll be
Please.
fine.
Yeah.
This is the best he's ever played, and we're still losing.
Why does Epicman get correct?
Damn it.
I don't know, Theaters is the best. I still don't have a star.
It's so quiet and peaceful without Epicman.
It honestly is. Honestly,
It's like
is.
walking on outside in a blue sky, sunny day.
Yeah, that's my question. Why do you keep adding him in first every single time?
Finally!
It was the real star. It was the real star.
Finally! I got a star,
Yeah.
folks! So
It
loud,
was.
but at least I got a star. At
Congratulations.
least I got a star.
Epicman's probably gonna yell at me when he gets back.
Yeah.
Good, as he should. No, I'm kidding. I'm just kidding.
No, I'm not saying he should. I'm just saying he might. Is that gonna be the fakes one still? Welcome back, Epicman. How was the party?
Yo.
Hey,
I don't think-
Epicman.
I don't think the chat's working, by the way, on stream.
Nah,
What do you mean? I literally see them.
But like on the stream itself, I don't see.
Oh,
like...
it's 'cause my stream fucking went offline, and every time that happens, all my shit's gone forever.
Okay.
So there's nothing I can do.
Hi,
about that,
Epicman.
unfortunately.
So, hey, Epicman, did you see that it was the real star that I prevented you from taking?
Yeah.
No, I didn't really
didn't
realize.
He was too inebriated.
Yeah, he's like, what the hell? Out the upstairs and fucking pirate.
Fans just come, dude.
Okay, dude,
calm
you just-
down.
You can't. We all established you can't do that. He's a fucking skeleton.
No, he has. You said it last stream. He has a jelly cock, bro.
No, he
Come on.
doesn't. That's not.
No,
it's
I
not-
said that. I said
Yeah,
that.
Peter said that. Why is it jelly?
Why is it? Why is it cream?
I don't
It's
know,
like
it looks
cream
like jelly.
soda? It's like cream soda or something? Like a
It's
donut?
supposed to be. It's supposed to be like energy, like his blue eye.
Behold my cocks.
Epic Sans has never said that. He's never said that in his life.
Yeah, I don't think he said it, but I was about
Yeah,
to say
his
something
iconic
like
line
that.
is, "Fuck kid, please, we've been good."
Please,
No,
we've been good, kid.
What the fuck?
Because it's both of them, and Frisk has them chained up with their tongues out.
I'm not gonna.
Oh.
I know I would not like to visualize that. Please. You didn't know first because no, I'm not gonna say that. 'Cause I don't think it's
Come on, they've been good.
Are you sure
They've been
Frisky
good,
is
kid.
of age?
Well, considering they're skeletons, I don't think they have an age. I think they're dead, but yeah.
I mean, the human. I mean, in that equation.
Zach, put my webcam on, bro. Come on.
Fuck you, no.
Do it. Come on. I can't donate $7, bro. Come on.
Oh, I'm sorry to hear that.
I'm sorry for your inability to donate to my channel.
All right. Well, I won't press A until you put my webcam on.
Mods, ban him for not pressing E.
You got sucked off, buddy.
So fucking dumb, bro.
Oh, that hurts.
Now you're in the purple realm. Purple guy's house.
Puppet.
Puppet. Toadstool Titan, please. Fuck, I hate this one.
Guys,
I love how like the
Where's
whole
Ed
chat is
Redman?
like stands has come.
Oh,
Sam-
only
Sam
one
that's
person,
coming.
Whole
Nah,
chat, he
I
says
like
that
that
one
chat.
guy.
Stop being dirty.
Wait, what is this fucking game?
You need the
what am I
bridge. You
doing?
need to fix the bridge. Carry the block across the
It's
path.
the Roblox obbies.
Yeah, it's Roblox. I've never
Oh,
played
yeah.
Roblox. I've played all the Roblox fan games on Mario.
Dude, I keep fucking falling.
Well, I don't know what to tell you.
It's like that's literally a fetch quest. Like you have to.
Oh, I made it.
3 times.
What the
You need-
fuck?
you
I
need to
fell
do-
off.
L plus ratio.
How do you get? What the fuck is happening?
You
It's
have to do
not
it 3
hard,
times.
It's just annoying. That's what.
Oh, you have to go back.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I wish it wasn't that way, but that's real life, bud.
Real life, buddy. Get used to it.
Get good.
I'm done.
Wait, is Tater gone?
Yeah,
Yeah,
she was.
Pierce is gone.
Oh no, I'm sorry.
Press
Sorry. She couldn't put the pieces together.
It's okay. She's in a better place.
Guys, I'm sorry. I'm sorry, she's the mimic.
Fuck.
Couldn't put the pieces together.
This game fucking sucks ass. Fuck you, dude. God damn it. Dude, I was so fucking close, man. I want. oh my
I was
God.
getting there, yeah.
I love that mini game.
So fucking
It
dumb.
wasn't like a bad minigame, it was just annoying.
That fish rocked the fuck out of Epicman. Yeah, Epicman.
You
was
did
kicking
what?
ass.
Did who? Who? What? Who?
What?
Who fucked who? You didn't talk about fucking. Okay, never mind.
I need a cigarette.
Good idea. I
My
can't
dentist
smoke,
said I can't.
but
smoke or drink
might.
before.
I might want it after this.
Oh, now you guys got sucked off again. Now you're back in the normal desert.
Yeah, I really shouldn't be uploading this shit. Maybe I should make an OnlyFans
What
after
the
this
fuck, dude? One freaking thing.
and upload these VODs to the OnlyFans.
Epicman didn't even earn his star. He got his as a handout.
Taters, yeah.
My day was actually pretty good. No! Wow, that was epic foreshadowing. Tater's like, today's great, and then she got the mimic.
Today was you couldn't put the pieces together.
Yeah, my day was just lazy because
Oh no.
tell her to get on the mic. Tell her to get on the podcast.
Podcast. Taters.
Tell her tell her that she can be the next podcast guest.
No. Zach, I'm glad you're at least better than you know just like in pain, not in pain, I guess.
Yeah, dude, my tooth hurts for so long, for over a month. I forgot what it was like to not have pain constantly in my tooth. It's been
So
nuts.
it's not as bad
Yeah.
as it could be right now, right? Is that what that's going on?
Yeah, they told me that for the next 3 days, it could be very, very bad pain and swelling. They're like, your face.
Damn.
Yeah, they said like, don't be surprised if your face like swells, and it doesn't look swollen at all.
it's
Yeah.
sore, so it's not as bad as it was. It just
You
it
look
might-
normal to me.
Yeah, I feel normal. The only thing is
Yeah.
like, it just feels weird in my mouth. Like I said, like I was used to like feeling my tooth on my tongue, and I can't feel it anymore.
So
This one sucks.
Yeah, this
you
one
just-
is just.
Wait. Taters can't unmute.
I know. We've been over this. Her
Oh.
grandma's beating her with the belt right now. When she's done,
Whoa.
when she's done, it's...
But yeah, I already tried doing
Radio.
mine on the 14th. So
Go,
yeah. this
My-
is
Please
fun.
don't eat my prostate, please.
Marco.
Fuck off. Okay.
Are you
Well, they're
fucking...
eating it. Processed.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Marco,
Fuck you,
I had-
dude.
the tooth that was infected was a crowded tooth, and it was not even visible. Like, you can't even see it. There's no gap. It was a tooth that was behind my normal teeth.
Yo, Epic
Hi,
Man.
Reb.
Do you think
Hi,
you're gonna-
Reb.
Do you think you're
Did
gonna
you go to
try
the
this?
carnival today?
Hi, Reb.
Was it cool?
That sounds fun.
You
I'd
spin
love to
me
go.
right round,
Okay,
baby, right
she's
round, like
yelling
a
more at my
record,
mom now,
baby,
so I can
right.
unmute.
Fuck this game.
But I also
Volume
have to be a little
voices.
bit more quieter.
That's okay. I hear you, Taters.
Yeah, welcome in.
Alright, thank you.
That's okay. I understand. That reminds me of the time where Andrew and I used to have to stream at Jake's house, and Jake would have to wake up at 5 in the morning for work, and Andrew would
No,
wake
no,
up
no, no, no.
screaming and yelling. He'd be like, whoa, 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 and then Jake would wake up,
I hate this game, guys.
and
That's
he'd be like,
Yeah,
I'm
if you
so
hear any
glad that
screaming, I'm sorry. I can't help that.
I don't hear nothing, but yeah.
I don't hear anything, but yeah, you're good.
That's okay.
Wait, would Andrew wake him up or would you wake him up?
We both would. But Andrew,
Okay.
there's a clip of us playing Outlast, and Andrew gets jump scared, and he screams, and you just see Jake wake up, punch the wall, and then go back to bed.
Does Andrew,
Wait, really?
Does Andrew scream bloody murder, or does he just like get used to
You have
it?
to keep in mind from Jake's perspective, he's like, here's 2 assholes that don't pay rent that are in my room.
Yeah.
Because they're in my room at midnight, screaming and yelling.
Well,
They're in the
like,
basement.
Yeah.
He's on his side. Yeah, but his,
Oh, yeah,
his
for
bedroom is in the basement.
Oh, okay. Man, that basement is so iconic, bro. On God.
That is like a yeah.
That was Jake's house. So it was always so awkward. I love Jake and he's great and I appreciate him, but it was always so awkward because there'd be a lot of times he'd be at work and he wouldn't even be home. So Andrew and I would he would just give us a key to his house, and Andrew and
Wait,
I would go. Well, listen, dude, it gets worse. There would be multiple
Okay.
times where Andrew and I would go in there and his family would be like eating dinner, like his sisters and mom and dad. They'd be having dinner. And Andrew and I just we just bust in the house and we start setting up the stream equipment. That's how it was for years, dude. So they'd just be having a family dinner and we'd be like screaming and talking about Mario 64 and shit. Wow, I tied with taters.
Oh, nice.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
Does that mean we both get
I
points or
forgot
no?
that I forgot that I was unmuted.
Oh.
You're good. Yeah, you both get points.
Well,
Yeah,
Jake's
so-
pretty good for doing that, to be honest.
I agree. Have
Pretty
you guys
big.
ever heard me, in all the years of me streaming, have I ever said one bad thing about Jake?
No.
Never,
Mario
never,
was
dude.
first.
I
Peach is
absolutely
second.
love that guy and I
I'm third.
appreciate everything.
Nothing
You gotta get him on. You have to get him on the podcast, bro. I don't really know anything about him, honestly.
Hey guys, it's the hey. Look, I'm correct
He
9
came-
times a time.
He came with us
The Millennium
to,
Star believes in you, Rainbow Cap.
I am gonna
Don't
fail
fuck this
so fucking hard.
He came with us to Texas when we met all of our
But
viewers and
I'll
mods.
try, I guess.
A lot of our viewers
Rainbow
and
Kappa,
mods
the
met-
Millennium Star believes in you. You can't fuck it up.
I'm gonna fuck it up.
There should be a new Mario Party, and then there's the Gen Alpha Star. He just
Why?
says-
Why do you? Why is
It
that?
sounds like-
This
You know it's
skibidi
gonna
star.
happen. You know they're gonna remake their first Mario Party, but all the alpha.
You get the star and it plays do 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 do. Yes, yes.
Skip it up.
Skippity dop, yes, yes.
No, Skibidi Bop and Bop is Review Tech USA.
Oh yeah, that's why I wasn't even supposed to go in that direction. I was supposed to go in the other direction.
Riz.
Riz.
W.
Ohio.
I hate Riz.
I love Ohio.
Do you?
Do you love Riz?
I do.
Have
All
you been there?
Yes, 3 times. All 3 times are some of the best memories of my whole life.
Ohio itself isn't
Okay.
bad. It's actually
I'm
underrated.
not even.
But everything else about it is bad.
That's
Yeah,
where
man.
Jake Paul is.
Alright, well,
I don't think
No,
that's
I
I don't think that.
LA. I think he was born in Ohio, but he lives in LA now. Thank
Like
God.
Scott the
Yeah.
Love. He is born in Ohio.
Yeah, all 3 times I've visited Ohio are literally some of the best memories of my life. It all like within the top 20 best days ever.
People,
Oh, no.
I don't think people know what Ohio is when they call it
Begins.
Ohio.
Marco's been there once. It's alright, apparently.
I've
Well,
been
he
to
didn't
it.
see the cool. I'm sure what I did there was a lot more fun than whatever he did there.
Bowser time, guys.
Have you been to LA?
Never. Nope.
No.
The farthest I went west was Vegas myself.
I love
If I
how
was, like-
everything's just gone down the shitter.
If I was in the
That's cool.
Epicman's wife? What went down this shitter?
what?
I got the phone.
No, that's actually really good. That's like the one thing because
Oh.
that's the one thing that wouldn't ruin you because you can call up Bowser, but you can like prank call him and tell him you're somebody else, and then he'll fuck over the other person.
That's actually
Wait,
good.
not me though.
If you call Bowser and you'd be like, "Hey, this is Waluigi," he'd be like, "Oh yeah, I want to come beat his
Hi,
ass."
Waluigi. Fuck
Yeah,
you. Fuck you.
Don't do Waluigi though.
Do
Do
like-
Waluigi.
Do it.
Do
Tiny-
Waluigi.
Oh.
I'll have to think about it. I'll have to think about it.
Hmm.
Do
Who
it,
should I
bro.
fuck over? That's a great question.
Remember how Epicman didn't let you beat Bowser? Let that sink in.
Mmm.
Mm-hmm.
Alright, guys, we gotta work together. We
Listen,
gotta work.
listen.
Wait,
We,
actually,
we
no.
can win. We can win. Nobody
Are-
do this for one.
Everyone do the house.
I'm doing the
Alright.
bush. No, bush. I'm doing the bush.
You guys know I'm doing it, right?
Yeah, that's why I
I
lied.
pressed the direction.
Ah!
I pressed the direction.
Yeah, you told me to lie down. Alright, this time I'm doing the tree stump. Tree stump.
That's pretty
Oh
funny. We're
wait,
doing the
okay.
three
It was
stuff.
you actually had to like move the other stick in the direction. I was using
This
the
time I
right
told the
stick.
truth.
Fuck you!
Yeah.
Fuck
Am
you!
I gonna lie? Am I gonna trick you?
Well,
I'm gonna do the rock this
well,
time.
what are you guys-
Rock.
When you guys are gonna do the rock, I hope.
Can you smell what the rock is cooking?
You motherfucker.
I mean, either way, I was gonna leave
Fucking
either way. You guys
go,
were
dude.
probably be, you guys weren't gonna be in the same spot. That's
Too
fine.
fucking easy, dude. What can I fucking say?
That game's stupid though,
This
because as
this
long as
game
one of you
fucking
guys-
riles me up, bro. This
That
game fucking
that's
heats me
stupid,
up.
because there's no way you
I
can win
tried, but I
unless you're
didn't
like,
realize that I was
unless
using the
there's an
wrong
AI.
stick.
There's no normal way you can
Oh,
lose that.
okay. But yeah, I fucked up because I didn't realize I was using the wrong stick.
Money!
Oh, that's okay. And we all ended up winning anyways, so it's fine. This guy's got 20 bones.
20
I'm in last place.
pepperonis.
Yeah, Epic Man in last dirty ass place.
Guys, I got 20 pepperonis. Sounds
20 pepperonis.
pepperonis like pizza powder.
Am I the only one that likes cold pepperonis more than hot pepperonis?
I agree.
I'm indifferent about pepperoni.
Alright, well, we're gonna do a battle mini game and everybody's gonna lose their shit. Go
I'm
big
trying
or
to
go
think,
home.
'cause pepperoni itself isn't the issue. It's pepperoni that's too greasy.
Yo, it's battle mini
I
game
can't do
time.
greasy pepperoni.
I like.
First,
I
let's
like
decide on how many
salami.
points will be on the line.
Salami's
with that.
okay. I think that's funny.
I
It's
the
like
good
either
one.
it's either really hot or really cold.
That's
for
what I'm
me.
saying. It's like I'm not like against one, but it's like pizza
Wow,
with,
we've
like,
got a
slo-
great
like,
70 coins
greasy
here. Huh,
pepperoni
that's
in
not enough.
general
Well, it'll have
hurts.
to do. Yeah, this works. Anyways, we're off.
Yahoo! I'm fired up. Yeah, I'm pissed off.
Okay, all you have to do is survive. It's a battle royale. Just dodge the fire, run and jump, and don't get hit by the flames.
All right, guys.
Oh, okay.
Just run into the flames. We'll win.
But
if we do
Epic
that.
Man's gay.
My
So
my
Yeah, he's a-
leg,
I'm not gonna finish that joke.
my Canadian internet is not gonna fucking handle this.
Okay, well, what's fucking Tater's excuse? Huh? She's got
Like
Canadian
what
internet.
the fuck is that fucking bullshit?
Never mind. Maybe you're
I
onto something. Maybe the Canadian internet really is bad. 'Cause you guys
It is.
Zach.
It is.
Fuck you, Zach.
I used to have really good internet. It's just the internet here sucks.
I get you.
You're the worst.
Honestly, though, no. Let me. If I'm being like positive right now, this has been the smoothest running match in Mario Party. All four of us, there's like been no lag. So this is actually pretty
Yeah.
good.
That is like the
Yeah,
one
like-
good thing about this, actually.
You
is-
It
say
is
that
not-
the stream is gonna start.
I mean, there was
Yeah,
like
Victor-
Zach had one like.
You know, I think I'm
but,
gonna
like,
fault my boy Bowser.
That
Yeah,
crash
cool.
Zach had was really smooth.
Bowser.
In the morning. Bowser calls it 2 a.m. prank gone sexual.
Who do you
Oh yeah,
think-
this is
Who
Bowser.
do you
Right.
think this is?
Epic Man. Come
No.
on, you're funny. Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
Luigi.
No.
Hi, Waluigi.
Fuck
Okay.
off.
Hi, Waluigi. Fuck you.
Why
Now you
me
just need a
every
boyfriend.
time?
You wanted Taters to fucking not be Bowser so bad, so you must love him. So go talk to him.
We love him so much, marry him. Apparently, that works.
You love him so much, why don't you marry him, Epic Man?
Yeah,
Apparently-
you
you're
think-
my new friend who's into Bowser.
Do you think Bowser would have a like really fat rectangular cock?
I do
You
not
think-
want
think-
to.
See,
I do not
okay,
want.
see,
The fact that you think about stuff like that means that you deserve to be here talking to him right now. I hope he takes all
Yeah,
your
I
money.
agree with
I don't
Zach.
think he wants to be. I think we should save Bowser from Epic Man. To
Wait,
be
wait,
honest.
wait,
Just
what?
give him $50.
Let's go,
What
dude.
the
Yeah.
Fuck!
I've never seen
The
that in my
fuck?
life.
Too
What the
easy,
hell? Dude, I
He
knew
fu-
that was your boyfriend.
He
I
pities
knew
me,
that
bro.
was-
He agreed that
Yo,
was
you know
good
what?
fuck. He wanted to be fucked. What?
Epic Man is Bowser's sugar baby.
Yeah,
He's my side.
Bowser
he's my-
heard and wanted to fuck him
I've
back.
never
Like,
seen
what the
Bowser
fuck?
give me $50 like that.
That's
dude.
why when I called him, he was like, "All right, baby girl, I'm coming over."
Yeah, you
What?
$50 like I promised.
Oh my god.
That's disgusting that happened.
That's weird as fuck, yeah. That's
I-
agreed, that's agreed that this never happened.
He got
Hey,
50
Captain,
coins.
What?
look at your coins.
He's still in last place. Hey.
I'm still in last place. That's so fucking stupid.
Mario,
Oh,
puzzle
man,
party.
so- I hate this one, dude. I don't like Tetris.
But you're playing Mario.
I don't give a
Yeah.
rat's ass like Tetris or Dr. Mario or whatever this is.
It's
I like puzzles.
it's Tetris but bad.
Yeah, literally. Mario's Puzzle Party my ass.
I'm wondering why they didn't make this their own game. It's literally just not the money, but like, nah.
Fuck, dude! One button! Motherfucker.
What the fuck?
Fuck.
I love the desperation and the fuck. the legitimate fear.
Oh god.
Relax, son. It's just a drawing. What the fuck am I hearing? It's like a mental
Here.
breakdown.
Here.
I'm locked in.
You should be locked up.
Yo.
This music I think is pretty good.
No.
Hurry up, fucker!
God damn it, man. Fuck!
Trouble you.
Shit.
So, when you won, dude, come
That
on.
was the first time I've ever won. Tater's out of breath. The only person
Cater,
that would get out of
that's a lot of work, wasn't it?
Fucking
That,
what-
that took all of my brain power.
I'm not gonna lie, that
Brain
hit too.
power!
Yeah,
Let the
brain
face
power.
kick off.
I have exactly 100 points.
Oh, da, 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 da.
That reminds me of the cat.
Ah,
I'm reading
You
Marco's
lost your
comment
69
now.
coins.
not nice. It's a less than nice.
Come on, dude. I've been rolling ones all day long.
Wait, what now?
You're bad, bro.
Okay, I'm in first place, fuckhead, and you're in last, so what are you talking about?
I'm gonna get sucked in.
Yeah.
You're about to get. Never mind.
Yeah, I'm not saying that.
No, no, say what you're gonna say. Say what you're gonna say.
Yeah, what were you gonna say?
Epicman,
What?
just finish your statement. What were you to say?
What? What happened?
You're
I'm
funny.
ready to fire my truth bullet.
It's me and you, Zach.
I'm gonna shoot this guy with the truth bullet. With the truth
Alright.
With the truth bullet. With the truth bullet. With the truth
I was
bullet.
literally listening to that at like 4 in the morning, Taters, because I was playing that trial again, and then I don't even know what that song is called.
Lock in, Zach.
Alright, ready. Go opposite direction so we can circle this guy. Yeah, perfect. Look at us. We're fucking synchronized.
What the fuck?
Fuck, bro.
No, we got. Oh, there we go.
We're fine, we're good.
Yeah, yeah. I'll go right. I'll
No! No! Who have we done wrong? What have we done wrong?
go right. What the fuck?
Go around!
Go, fucker.
What?
Yes, you're supposed to circle
What?
around and not scribble on his face. Get off me! Fuck.
Yay!
We're gonna lose now.
Are you guys now? Yeah, you guys are.
Beat us by
God
one.
damn it, dude.
We tried.
That
dog.
was close. That was a close one.
Good try, Zach. I know you screwed up, but I mean, you know.
I know I'm perfect. I know I didn't do anything wrong, but Zach, you did everything wrong. It's okay.
Fucking, where's the play-by-play?
Whose mouse was that?
We all had a lot
That
of
was-
coins.
Maybe look at who's player 3 and then see that the 3 mouse was.
Yeah, and then I know.
Wait, was that you?
Shut up.
56 coins? Do it.
Wait. Oh, we're on the same space. Is that why? Okay.
Please don't do it. Please.
I'm not
Oh, do it.
stupid, but
Kappa, no, please. Do one. Do one. One. No, Kappa.
I'm not
What
stupid,
the
but
fuck?
I'll give you 1 point.
Oh,
I'll
Yeah,
give
because he
you
did
one.
what you asked. He gave you 1.
Yeah, fuck.
He
yeah,
left you with 1.
Yeah, you got
Alright,
you
I'm
gave me one pity coin.
Okay,
Oh
don't.
god, we're about to
How do you play
do a
this? How do you play
vine.
this?
Tarzan game.
You're
Oh,
about to
my-
Yeah,
I got this.
this is fine enough.
do it for the vine.
Kappa, you're fucked.
Do it live.
What the fuck?
I inhaled my spit.
take you for a swing. Come on, Rainbow Kappa, you got this, bro. You got this. Professor. You good? Oh! Come on!
No, man. Come on, bro. This game fucking sucks.
Oh, it's not over yet.
God damn it, man!
It's not
Like,
over yet,
what is
Snake.
this game? I don't
Zach,
fucking get it.
I want to mention something to you. I do not play Metal Gear Solid at all, or like whatever the fuck that that quote is from, but every time I hear it's not over yet, I just hear in your voice, it's not over yet, Snake.
Not over yet, Snake.
It's
Yeah,
over
it's-
now, Snake.
It's cause the guy that says it is British, so I always make fun of him.
British.
So I'm always like, it's not over yet, Snake.
It's not.
Yeah, but I love doing British accents and stuff like that, so my brain is like, it caused it into like a vocal stim for me, so now I repeat it constantly.
Good. I take a lot of pride in that. That makes me happy. Thank you for sharing.
You've made yourself a lot of vocal stims in my
Damn
brain.
it!
Good. I'm very proud. It's nice to know that I've accomplished something in this life.
God, dude.
Final turn.
Fuck!
The fuck, man?
Ugh.
What the fuck?
Just a second, guys.
Yo.
I gotta reply to a text really quick. It'll take 2 seconds.
I got you.
It'd
I
be a
paused
shame
it
if we
for you.
just, it would be a shame if we just quit.
You don't need to pause it, dude. But thank you. I appreciate it. It's a very kind
Alright.
gesture.
No, we can't. I don't have control over this shit.
Turn 19 or 20 with this ticket.
Okay, stop.
Oh wait, it's almost over. Fuck.
I know,
Yeah.
dude. Isn't that crazy? Kind of went by fast
Can you
this time.
please?
It really did.
How come the last match, or the last time we played this, it took 2.5 hours, and this is gonna wrap up in about 1 hour?
Ah,
Who the fuck is hitting this?
I'm big
What
man.
is-
So
Okay,
folks,
Epicman,
saw
stop.
you do that. So his face like, oh yeah, that's
You're gonna give our viewers a seizure.
Let me finish off this.
Lucky day.
pause
Let me
the
answer the
video.
question. Do I like to study?
Yeah, you do.
No.
Yes.
Yeah, you do.
Yes.
I like you. Here's all the skeleton keys you can carry.
He
Thanks.
likes you.
You like
I
skeleton
don't
keys?
like
I'm gonna fucking fuck them. Wait, what?
Tell him to get in line.
Whoa.
You're the
Whoa.
keymaster.
Isn't he like 10?
No,
Yeah,
I didn't
that's
say Big Bowser Jr. It's not keys.
People can like
There's
them.
a
It doesn't
difference.
make it weird. It's weird if you like them back, thumb fuck.
I just got my last turn was spent getting sucked off.
Whoa.
Why does whenever you come into society, become
Come on,
fuck
kid.
you.
1 coin, 1,000 coin.
Yeah, steal all my coins, you fucking.
Hey, I think they didn't take that 1 coin.
Why do you keep saying that? Hey, Epicman, challenge. Think of another insult to say that isn't
Yeah,
tough.
no
Go.
fuck, dude. Has that?
I-
do you ever?
I like.
Did like someone have sex with Bowser in front of you and they like crushed
Not
you?
this game. Oh no, not this one.
I
I
just
don't
like
know
saying cock.
I don't know what button you have to hit. Is it A?
It's
Yeah.
it's there's like
You spam A until you run out of fuel, and then you have to like let go.
Is it just
It's
A?
A and
What the-
B, you lying
Yeah.
sacks of shit.
Oh fuck!
I
You
think
made me
it's, I think
spin
it's
out.
A. I think it's A or
It's
Z.
it's A and for me I'm using A and
There's
the
like two,
Z
yeah.
button.
Gotcha.
Dude, what the fuck is happening, man?
You're
Fuck
losing.
this
That's what's happening.
fucking game.
You're losing. And you're about to get the blue carrot. No, you get the real one. I'm pissed. Come on, Mario! Get this horse going!
Wait, what do you mean by that, Zach? What do you mean by that?
This song is the best song in Mario Party. I don't care what anybody says. I don't even get the fucking blue carrot, dude!
Yo, let's
Haters.
go. Watch me rolling. Watch me go.
Watch him, bro.
Oh my god, dude.
Look, that's the most lifeless horse I've ever seen. Peach is like grabbing its eyeball.
Peach does not care for animals. She abuses
Animal
animals in her
cruelty?
pastime.
You can see it.
She's definitely like one of those like people to hold like a chihuahua in her purse who's like deeply malnourished and bites at everything because it thinks that everything's a danger to it.
She picks up the chihuahua by its
Okay,
neck.
cool. I don't know what you're gonna do with those coins, but okay.
She carries it around by its neck.
Nom nom nom. Chihuahua.
I can't believe I have 3 fucking keys. I don't want this shit.
I mean, how are you gonna? You're not gonna use 3
You have
coins.
3
keys
keys,
in one
Z?
game.
I just got all the money in the bank, bro.
Could you say that you
Communism?
have 3 keys,
Yeah,
Z?
wrong one.
Keezy, he got firebombed
Easy
in
peasy.
Kuwait.
It's okay.
I
Dude, Tater's
J-
trying not to get sucked off challenge impossible.
Boy.
Every fucking level, get out of this area. The
I
star
shouldn't
age-
have chosen Peach. I should have gone Daisy. I was too hot.
I'm crying right now.
If it was Daisy, nobody would.
Nobody would have sucked me off if I was Daisy.
Yo.
They'd
No,
be like, they
no.
put one of those fucking clothespins over their nose.
Am I wrong or am I wrong?
You're
Alright,
right.
okay.
This is bumper balls, but way worse. You just
Bumper
bounce and then hit,
balls?
you hit Z to smack into each other.
Wait, what do you mean that smack
Alright.
some balls?
That's what the game's called. Everybody's got
Dude.
killed.
Like, come on. Come on, man. I can't even play the game. So fucking dumb.
No!
Ah! Wow.
It's a penis.
What are you talking about?
The shape.
He's trying to distract you.
Get off me!
That's a lot of theaters. I'm sorry for you. This
Why
theater
go
just
you
like
wrong?
couldn't move.
You can die on that hill all you want, but Daisy is
Mark-
not.
I literally
No.
could not hear. I literally
Mar-
like my brain started frying the moment I heard Epicman yell, "It's a penis!"
No, that's
because
why.
my brain wanted to go.
that's
Of course,
the
you would
plan.
point that out
That's why
because you're gay.
Yeah.
There we go.
That's what exactly.
Marco's right, by the way.
Yeah.
No, he's
God.
wrong, by the way.
What did Marco say?
It's been
That
so long.
Daisy's better than
Wait,
Peach.
why Tarzan? Suck my monkey. Okay.
I'm gonna win. I'm gonna win.
Let's see. It comes down to bonus stars, honestly. We all had a like pretty equal.
Nicely
I feel
done,
like
everyone. Let's
Daisy
see the
could be
bonus
done
stars.
better.
Are you
Yeah, I mean,
fucking
that's gonna
kidding
win.
me? I
because
agree.
He's winning.
I win.
Nintendo's really
Zach
good
is
character.
a god. Okay, holy shit.
Dude, Zach just fucking wins.
Minigame star.
What the
Fuck you, Zach. Fuck you. Fuck you.
That's why Zach didn't do the
fuck?
prediction because he knew that everyone would lose their points and then say it was rigged.
Yeah, you're welcome. No. It's because
I got the happening star because I kept getting sucked off at the end.
That, hey, well, you got something out of it at least.
There you
Epicman dies.
Bye, Epicman.
go. That's cool, dude.
Bye, Rambo Kappa.
Alright.
I should have removed you guys from the voice call as each of you died.
Man, nothing to
No.
Wow. Good job, Zach.
Hell yeah, dude, I'm the wiener.
You are winner.
Even the fireworks are in the shape of Mario's face. How legendary he is.
Oh,
That was a really fast match, though. That was fun.
Was that fast?
That was.
Oh, okay. I mean, that was faster than usual. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, last
Wait.
time it took us like 2 hours. It's because we did the shitty ass Waluigi map, which takes forever.
And then we did the thing after. But yeah, it was
Wait, Zach, before you get off, we gotta do the Kirby minigame, bro.
the Kirby man.
Come on. Come on, bro. You know what I'm saying, bro.
Or you could actually let me beat Bowser for once.
I think I don't care what you guys do, but I'm gonna wrap up. So.
No problem, Rainbow Kappa. This was still fun.
It was a Mario Party 3 stream.
It was a Mario Party 3 stream to remember.
And for better or worse.
This was actually a decent stream.
It was
It
better.
was.
It wasn't like the worst one. It was just sad.
It
Yeah.
wasn't the worst one. Hold on.
It could have been much.
Funny thing
much
is,
worse.
if we go to playtime, we've already played this more than Mario Party 2, which is hard to believe. We have
Jesus.
20,
Holy shit, we spent
23, almost
a day.
24 hours.
We spent
Oh
a day
my
on it.
god.
Mario Party 1 we played for 31 hours, and then
That's
Mario Party 2 I only played for 14.
Damn, we must have hated
Wow.
Mario Party 2, guys.
Mario Party 2 was my favorite so far.
Mario Party 2 might have been the best one in my opinion, but like
Next time we play, we'll go back to 2. I think.
I think
it's
2
time.
is the
Yeah.
best one, and it's being spared
Well,
because.
fuck you! I like 3.
Yeah, I'm saying I think 3 is good, but I think 2 is being spared because 2 had good stuff in it.
I like 1 because the fucking boards are so like.
One
fucked
is
up.
good, but 1 isn't the best. 3 isn't bad,
Why,
but 3
why
is
is there a
different.
menacing ass Koopa here? Look at him.
Koopa wanted to be
Where?
the
It's,
Koopa when it exists.
excuse me, that's Kazooie, and that's Poppin' Loch Ness's favorite game. I've never
No,
played it.
no. Do you not see where my hand is pointing? I'm pointing
Yeah,
at
he's
the
just staring at
Koopa
me
on the Mario Party 2.
menacingly. He's just staring at
Oh,
me
wait, what?
menacingly. Holy shit.
If you look at my stream, you're pointing at Kazooie on my stream.
No,
I don't know
no, no, Taters is pointing at the Koopa in Mario Party 2. In the bottom right. Under
Okay,
Wario.
In like the right side.
Yeah, under
Okay, but
Wario.
I'm just telling you guys, if you look at my screen, it's showing her pointing at Kazooie.
Hold on.
God, dude.
I'm gonna
Dog-
open up the stream.
No,
Donkey
Zach,
Kong
Zach
looks
is
so
Zach
fucking
is
sexy.
Zach is not pointing at the Mario Party. He's like,
Oh,
"That's
it's
like-"
because you've gone down. Go
yeah,
up one.
Go up one.
Oh, I thought that you guys had the same screen as me. That makes sense.
No.
That Koopa looks fucked.
Yeah,
Now
he looks pretty. Like he looks high as fuck.
Mario Party 2, everybody does cosplay.
Huh?
So
Cosplay. In this
they
economy.
dress up as the characters. I don't fucking know.
They like anime in this game, apparently.
All right.
Everybody wants to be my enemy.
Oh my god.
Jerry.
Before I change my mind, I'll boot up Kirby and the Crystal Shard.
Okay.
Or we could play Mario Kart.
That's true.
I'm just gonna. Nah, I'm just gonna head out.
All right, good.
All right. Well,
I'll
Rainbow-
rate you
Good
guys,
times,
but I.
Rainbow Kappa.
But yeah,
Yeah.
I'm just.
We're gonna replace Rainbow Kappa with Kanye West. He's joining the race.
How about we don't and we How about we don't and
We replace him with Drake.
Drake?
Yeah.
Fine, Drake works, but not Kanye, guys. Not after someone got banned over that
I
shit.
think all of us are too old to talk to Drake.
Yeah, you're right. Maybe Ed
Yeah,
Sheeran. Maybe we can
I
do Ed
had a
Sheeran
chance.
instead.
You missed it. You missed your chance. So,
I missed him. I only had one shot, and I missed my chance to
We
bluff.
all did. We all had 17 years. Holy fuck! What the hell is so loud in my fucking
That-
ear?
No fucking cap.
I can't. I'm
God.
sorry. Sorry.
That was so fucking loud.
Have a good one, guys. Have a good one.
See you later.
Later, alligator.
Alright, chat. What the fuck was that stream? I'm not saying it was like a bad one, but for those here and lurking, I appreciate everyone being here. I probably will be uploading VOD tomorrow at some point. Good at lurking. My plan is to be starting on Monday. This week just has been weird, but that would probably be when my next stream is beginning into. But we'll be rating Zach. If anyone's lurking, thank you for watching. I'm sorry if it was a little unhinged, but these are generally gonna be those kind of streams. But appreciate it. So thanks for coming by, and we'll see you then. Until next time, chat with that.